Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hand.
All the other stations, and that's how we do it. Hi, welcome to Healing Outside the Box. This is our 139th show. And my name is Rosemary LaChance, and I'm an energy healer and a spiritual therapist. And I am a co-host for this thought-provoking series, and that is dedicated to providing you with food for thought information and answers to all modalities of alternative healing, spiritual development, animal welfare, environmental concerns, and so much more in the form of guest speakers who are experts in their fields. If you know of any subjects that you would like us to discuss, or if you know of anyone who you think would make an interesting guest, please let us know. And please like us on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box, where you can learn about and see pictures of some of our past guests and ask questions or leave a comment. Enjoy the show. Well, we have 3 guests here tonight. We have Barbara Slane, Director of the Life Balance Center. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We have Hans Wilhelm. Welcome, Hans. He's an author and teacher of spiritual laws. And Hope, I can't reach you, but this is Hope Fitzgerald. She's a certified neurofeedback practitioner. Okay, so tonight, the title of our show tonight is called Loving It All. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information about each of our guests, okay? Barbara is a holistic nutritionist. She has an MA, and she's a German new medicine practitioner. How do you say it? Microscopist?
Microscopy.
Oh, well,
which I'm not doing now, but that's okay.
I slaughtered that one.
That's
Alkaline coach, etc., and director of the Life Balance Center and My Healing Rooms, which she's going to explain to you about. Barbara's always been interested in the mind-body-soul connection, has been learning, seeking, and experiencing a multitude of modalities from an early age. Her search was also based on finding solutions to her mind-body-soul challenges. Barbara offers information about alternative therapies, Western and Eastern, for cancer and many other states of disease, mind, body, and soul. She firmly believes that they are all connected and every ailment should be addressed through our whole being, body, mind, soul, spirit. Barbara offers The Life Balance Center offers workshops and classes in all areas, and now she offers My Healing Rooms, an online resource available complimentary where people can be exposed to different modalities and healings. All of the room participants have offered some complimentary gift, such as meditations, sound healing, ways of transferring emotions, earthing, and more. Okay, now our second guest, Hans, is the best-selling author and illustrator of over 200 books of all ages that are translated into 30 languages. He's a student and teacher of the spiritual laws. Hans was born in Bremen, Germany. He lived for many years in Africa before moving to America. He now lives in Western Connecticut in an old farmhouse with his artist wife, Judy Henderson. As a noted speaker, he has been inspiring audiences around the world with his spiritual and life-affirming concepts that he shares in many of his books. And this is Hans' 3rd visit on our show, and we're always so glad to have him back. And I hope there'll be many, many more.
Thank you.
And Hope, since her spiritual awakening at the Findhorn Foundation in 1976, Hope Fitzgerald has been a dedicated seeker of truth, healing, and wisdom. For nearly 20 years, her expertise in intuitive dowsing has helped people transform their lives. In 2010, she was directed through channeling to launch a series of workshops introducing an energetic called the Infinity Wave. These wave energy evolution workshops are comprised of powerful practices that have helped many participants to create miraculous healing breakthroughs. In 2011, Hope launched the Wave Energy Center for Conscious Evolution, dedicated to the positive, expansive development of the individual, the community, and the earth. In late 2012, Hope debuted on the 11th season of Healing with the Masters with Jennifer McLean, launching a global platform to teach people the Infinity Wave. Since then, she has been a featured speaker on many other radio and telesummit shows. And we'll ask Hope to explain about that after, okay? We're going to go in turn here, each one, talk a little bit about that, and then talk about our subject. Okay, so Barbara, our guests here come from Barbara's Healing Room. So can you tell us a little bit about that? What prompted you to start MHR, which is...
My Healing Rooms.
Okay.
Yeah, My Healing Rooms with an S, because if you put in My Healing Room, it's a Christian ministry, so it has to have that little S. Well, my search, my soul's journey, which has been, according to Hans, actually all perfect, but it's in the world, it's been a little bumpy, and led me to my own healing. And that led me to opening a center. And that led me to realize that we are a combination of mind, body, soul, spirit. And everything that we experience is operating on all those levels. It's not just, oh, my knee went out. There's a bigger picture to everything that's happening.
Right.
And as I started looking for people to assist me, because we all need help, or I certainly needed a lot, I came across the people that are in my healing rooms. And each one of them, I feel, has so much to offer and has so much integrity and have helped me along my path. And it's really wanting to share with other people, to give them hope, and to know that they, just to keep on journeying. So I call it my beautiful poo-poo platter, and because I needed a really big one, and I keep adding to it. There's people, the universe keeps providing me with the most amazing healers, so every month or every 2 months there's going to be another interview, and then hopefully they'll be here as well, because I needed a tremendous amount of assistance, and I know a lot of people do. So it's my wanting to share.
It's a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
I've been there. It's a wonderful place. It's a gorgeous house in Weston. And we're going to have Barbara on the show another time by herself, and she's going to tell you all about this, what it's like, her guests, her experiences. It's going to be wonderful. So keep looking for that show. And how did you connect with Hans and Hope?
Well, so again, it just seems to be handed to me in divine timing. Hans stumbled upon my website, right? You had contacted me, or someone had told you about the center?
I read it, I think.
You read it, and he contacted me, and Hans knew Andrea Candy, who I run a liquid feast with. And Andrea said, you should really have Hans here to lecture, because Hans's universal laws, his teachings about the universe, they're so simple and easy to understand, and they make so much sense to kind of sort out, which can sometimes feel like complete madness, or it has to me. So Hans came and with Penny Cohen, and they started doing workshops at the center. And I go down there and I soak it in, because I could apply what's happening to my life in a different context, like a recent back surgery I had even. Looking at things in a broader perspective, and why they're happening, and deriving the positive is a lot of what Hans does. So I've been nourished that way through looking at Hans's videos online to having him at the center. They're amazing, Life Explained. And it gives me comfort.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Hans and I have known each other since 1982, when we came together to study together in a spiritual group. We've been friends ever since. And I found out about your healing, the healing room down there in Weston, because Hans spoke that night with Penny.
I love it.
He told us he was going to be there, and that's when I started getting all the information. So he told me about you, which was really nice. And that's the first time we ever came down. Yeah.
That's so nice.
So that's really great, yeah. So what was the impetus for starting my healing rooms?
Because I feel so fortunate that I was able to get assistance, that I really wanted to create a global forum for people to get help, and the requirement really is that each person gives something back to people for free. So there's an interview where you get to know them, and then there's a demonstration. Hans did a beautiful demonstration about transmuting fear and looking at it in a different way. And Hope did a beautiful, oh my God, you have to check it out, singing bowl, meditation connecting to the heart, the wave meditation. So,
nice.
so it's a place to come to get, to help, for hope, for healing, for whatever it is that you're guided to get, to work with them, to read one of Hans's books, whatever it is. I love your new book with Byron Katie. It's amazing, The Friendly Universe. So it's a resource. It's a resource.
That's wonderful. So that was your experience with Hope and Hans.
Well, Hope, should I tell you my experience with
go
Hope?
ahead.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Because that was Hans. And Hope, oh, this was really interesting. Hope came down from the Berkshires to have a session on the Shirin. Have you had a session on the biophoton machine?
No.
Oh, you have to come down. Compliments of the Life Balance Center.
Really?
That's some. Oh, yeah. Well, maybe.
Is that John?
That's
yeah.
David Johann.
Johann.
And it's healing with your own light. So Hope came down, and I walk in the kitchen, and there's this big ball of energy, and she's like, I have something to tell you, and do you want to hear? She had her dowsing rods, and she first said the land wants you to connect, which I knew that. And then I started asking questions, and she told me, I said, when am I going to meet my guy? That was my focus. And she was like, well, not for another, I don't know, it was 9 months. I'm like, you know, she doesn't
Your
know
guide?
what my guy, my man.
Your man?
At the
I thought
time,
you said man, but I
that
thought,
was my
maybe
focus.
not.
That was my focus. She was like 9 months. I'm like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So I called her back 8 months after that, because she obviously did, and we started talking. And we started talking, and Hope does this incredible infinity wave healing workshop meditation. So I did a session with her, a dowsing session, and then we started collaborating about Hope coming down to the center. And she's been doing workshops there, and people are, you know, what I believe is that whoever is meant to be there will come, and it's the same premise on my healing rooms. What I tell people is just quiet down, tune into yourself, and go to the room that you're directed to. So that was my hope, that, sorry about that, that people will get what they need from whoever, because we need different people at different times, and different modalities might work at different times.
Exactly.
So there's nothing that's just right all the time.
Let me clear a little bit up for our audience. The healing rooms are on the website. You can go on. You can go on your website, and you can go into what she calls into her healing rooms, and you can find Hans. You can find Hope. You can find a lot of different people. Whatever resonates with you, and online you can get what you need there with them and what they talk about. Right? Am I right?
Right, and
Okay.
that's all complimentary.
Right.
Just go have fun.
And then she also has that people come to her big, beautiful, what do you want to call it there?
I don't know
it's
what
the
it
Life
is.
Center.
It used to be at my home. It's
Yeah,
the
it's-
Life Balance Center,
Right.
and life is spelled with a PH because people...
I was saying lipe.
Like, people will call up and
the
say it's
beginning.
the Lippe Balance.
Yeah,
and
lippy. Yeah.
when I started, it was all about alkalinity because I was studying with Dr. Young, and so it expanded. So it is a large... Well, some say it's a vortex. There's a lot of healing that goes on there. The land
Right.
is really charged. So it's a healing space. And
A healing center, yeah,
A
it
healing
is.
center. And Hope. Everyone in my healing rooms, except for Robert DiGaetano, who's a music person, has been there, has taught there, has been a part of it.
So you can get to know Barbara, and you can get on her email list, and she'll let you know what the guests are that are coming, when they're coming, the time, and everything else. So that'll be very nice. So when she comes on the show, well, we'll give you her information here at the end of the show, and then you can write that down and get in touch yourself.
Have you mentioned it's in Weston?
Oh, it's in Weston, Connecticut.
Weston, yeah.
And thank you.
Right
Rosemary,
off of
for-
the...
Exit 42.
Yeah, off the Mirror Parkway. Very, very easy. No twists and turns, and no, it's right there. One turn, that's it. You're there. Right. It's very good. Okay, so tonight's show is Loving It All. Okay, so want to explain a little bit about that, each one of you, or tell us what you mean by this? What does Loving It All mean?
Well, I'll just start
Okay.
because I really got a lot of guidance from Hans on this. But Hope you had a recent situation too, where I was supposed to leave for Bali tomorrow. I'm going to use myself as an example, and I had everything planned, or so I thought. I was in control, and I got a huge hit with a big frying pan from the universe, and had a emergency back surgery a month ago tomorrow, and really had a choice how to look at this. and whether to look at this, what is the gift in it, why did this happen, and that's what I've chosen to do with the help of Hans and Hope and other people. So how do we love it all is that this is bringing me back to a place I need to be. I've been asked to slow down. I've been getting, Roland was over Monday night and got the message without knowing this. Barbara, you have to be in, and he did this whole thing. It was complete confirmation. You have to retreat in. They're working on you. This is your time to heal. So if I fought that and I was walking around as a victim, which I used to do, and oh my God, I can't go to Bali, and why is this happening? And this would be a very different experience. So this is the loving it all, and we were talking about it in the car even, and you have a video on that, something similar, right?
Yeah, I just spoke a little bit about it. Because and I like to have always examples in my videos, and for me the most poignant example for loving it all is the story of Beauty and the Beast. Where Beauty basically is in this castle and looks for this enchanted prince, can't find him, and meanwhile there's this horrible beast there. And over time, of course, we know she falls in love with the beast, and that moment, then the beast gets turned into that handsome prince. So she was able to love something obviously very ugly, very unfortunate, before it became beautiful. That is something which I think is the message of that story, and I think for all of us to see any negative situation which we are in, like Barbara has mentioned and so on, to see it, where is that positive in it right now? And if we can't find it for it right away, we at least can use gratefulness for the situation, and gratefulness not so much for the situation, but for the opportunity that that situation gives us. In every so-called negative situation we are in, there is the opportunity to make a change, at least to take a change of our attitude. If we cannot change always the outer world, we can definitely change our attitude, and that can be done once we understand the deeper meaning of why we are here, where do we come from, where we are going. We are going to the basic questions, and in the answers of these basic questions we find that solid basis, which is divine existence, love, God, and that is what is basically like the canvas of the picture of our life that carries the whole picture. It's all based on love, but we only see the outer picture. And if we go a little bit deeper, we see it's all total based on love, and it is totally balanced, and there is a higher order to everything. Nothing happens to us, everything happens for us.
And I believe nothing in life is a coincidence.
Besides
and
that,
everything happens for our spiritual growth.
For our growth.
That's what it is, all of it, right? Just our spiritual growth,
yes.
All of it.
But you said, and something really important in the car, that it's the self-love that we often miss. Like, I think for me the back was stop giving, like now it's time, give to yourself. That's what Roland said last night. And you talked about self-love.
Very important, yeah. Because that's the most important person basically we have to include. We are very critical about ourselves.
I know.
We are forgiving with other people, but critical with ourselves, and that is something we have to just cut up and just sort of love. I love myself. I love myself for being critical. I mean, not just don't push the critical judgmental away. I love myself for being judgmental and critical, and maybe one day I can be less of that. But right at the moment, this is where I am. Accept ourselves as how we are. We cannot accept and love the world around us if we do not love and accept ourselves. It's impossible.
But how do we do that? That's the thing I've been struggling with all my life. You know, I'm sure it came in from another lifetime with me, but the parents didn't help it any, and I can't seem to get past that one. When I met you, I loved you because you loved yourself. I loved your attitude towards that, and I wanted to do that, but I always think, my mother used to say when I used to get excited about something I did, look what I did, she'd go, oh, don't be so conceited. And then every time I think about something that I'm excited about, I think, oh, don't be so conceited.
It kills your joy.
Those tapes.
Excitements,
yeah. I'm sure people out there, you know, I'm sure you all have these problems. That's why I'm bringing it up. But I wish there was some way.
Have you forgiven her? I've been doing this thing.
Forgiving her? Oh, yeah.
You did that whole Colin tipping, forgiving her.
Forgive her, yeah, exactly.
So she was leading
anything in your program there?
She was leading you back to you.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Well, you know, you mentioned in the introduction this thing called the infinity wave.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What was that about?
Well, this comes in very handy for things like this because our minds want to they get wrapped around ideas and words and all of that. That's why I like Hans's simplicity. And the infinity wave is the cosmic easy button, really, because it's even beyond words. It's so simple. It's a if you imagine a figure eight.
Figure eight, okay.
Made of flowing water.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the symbol that it's come in as, and it represents a lot of things, but it's a 10th dimensional frequency. So we're talking something way higher and more distilled than we're used to dealing with in 3D. But the idea is that it helps us to lift out, to be present in 3D, but to open ourselves to other finer dimensions. The wave itself is comprised of love and compassion, and then I always say another trace minerals, because who knows what else is in there. But primarily it's love and compassion, and it's moving. The universe is moving, everything is moving, so I like the way it moves with everything. It recognizes that movement. When you invite this symbol, this moving energetic into your body even, just if you just imagine, you can close your eyes and just imagine that this figure eight is running in your torso. And it's, you just start to relax and everything starts to let go, because water is the path of least resistance. Water also can remove obstacles. Water is just hypnotic. And being filled with love and compassion, you don't even have to think about how am I going to stop being critical and what my mother said. You just go into the wave, and it just takes it away. It just starts to melt all those old patternings. And the whole point of the wave is that it is enhancing, speeding up, making more easy our conscious evolution. We all chose to be here now.
Right.
This is an interesting time.
It sure is, isn't it?
And why are we here? Why are we here? Why do we choose this experience? And with all the feeling that everybody has, no matter what age you are, there's a feeling of time speeding up and everything getting faster and faster and being condensed. I mean, when you think about many years ago, we would all go to therapy, right, for a long time.
Right, yeah.
We don't really have that time anymore. So, those are methodologies that worked really well when time wasn't quite as speedy. But time is speedy now, and so we need things that are going to move us along more quickly and sort of bump us, even skip over a few things. And that's why the infinity wave, I believe, came in as a loving gesture from a loving creator universe, and to help us along. So when we hit these speed bumps of back surgery or whatever it is, we can use the wave to help us pull out of whatever victimization, whatever, even getting beyond what our mind is chattering about. We just want to get into a flow and acceptance. It also takes you right into the present moment. You're just right there. And so you're not resisting, you're not fighting, you're just present with this wave.
Okay,
And
I've got to interrupt you because I know that our audience is saying, what is an infinity wave? Where did you find this wave? Can you see it? Whatever. How did you discover this? How can you explain it to our viewers so they know what you mean? Say, okay, I want to call her, I want to do this, experience it. Can you explain it a little bit in lay terms?
Sure. I basically, my whole life I've been a very spiritual-oriented person, and but very private. And so I've read books, became a healer, did all these things, but very much on the QT. I became a neurofeedback practitioner as a way to help people with their brain patternings and all of that, but I did the healing in the background, basically. And then I had a very challenging year in 2010, and at the end of it, I was so depleted on every level that I thought, this is when people get in the danger zone of getting ill themselves, having just nursed my father through all that. But anyway, so I decided to go out for a major sound healing retreat, about 10 days. And I basically galloped in on a horse and I said, let me at it. I am going to wipe this oh, Colleen, I am going to just, I just got to reboot. And I came out of that delightfully empty. It was the most wonderful feeling. I really scoured everything I could possibly find in lurking in the shadows. And nature abhors a vacuum, apparently, because, but within a few days of coming home, I started to have visions, and I started to, my intuitive dowsing bumped up a few rungs on the ladder and became, clear channeling, and I started to see this. I saw this shape, this infinity wave, and through the dowsing, I started to ask, what is this, and then I started, and I was told to create workshops, a series of 9 workshops from January 2011 through September, 1 weekend a month, and I was kicking and screaming, let me tell you, because this was putting me not in the back of the room quietly, but in the front of the room vociferously. So I wasn't real keen about that, but I don't say no to spirit. So I set these workshops up, and as promised, they delivered channelings. I played crystal bowls with the practices that were delivered, and I started to learn about what the infinity wave was by conducting these workshops. And people's lives, the promise was, people will evolve quickly, smoothly, and easily. And I could not believe my eyes. I mean, literally, it was like magic happening. And it wasn't just high on the weekend and then everything fell away. It sustained itself from month to month to month, and people's joy quotients went way up. And I still didn't trust it, for a few months. It probably took me into June.
You can call it to you?
Absolutely.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah. It's just, you imagine this figure 8 made of flowing water. I usually put it in blue, but it can be any color. And there's no right way to do it. It basically, invite it in. You can put it in your heart this way and invite it to widen your heart as you breathe. You can invite it to be any position, multiple waves, tiny waves, big waves, and you can use it to commune with the earth, with nature, with plants, animals, trees, rocks, etc. Your higher self. You can take it down to the core of the earth and way up into the stars. There is no, it's infinite, So, and what it's allowing in is this such a pure quality of love and compassion beyond what we think of as humans. It's so distilled. But when that mixes with what we're doing here on 3D, we can because it's mixing, we can tolerate this. We expand, we get tuned in, we go, oh, okay. We start to notice things we hadn't noticed before. We start to become more psychic, more listening, more synchronicities happening. And once you invite the wave into your life, it sort of starts a dance with you.
It stirs things up sometimes.
It stirs things up. Well, that's the thing. Anything that is sort of lurking, like any wave would do, it kicks the pebbles up on the shore, and you need to deal with them. But the way when you work with the wave, it makes it a lot easier. You're not just pounding yourself against the wall.
What I like is, if you're going into a difficult situation, you've kind of guided me. You can send the person or the situation that kind of wave. It's an energetic, right? Yeah. To make it more flowing.
Absolutely. You can use it to communicate with people heart to heart. You run a wave like this, and believe me, you get in sync. I mean, you think about the quantum physics and how, and even, just the idea of how entangled we are. We are entangled anyway. So why don't we use our entanglement in this beautiful, loving, and compassionate methodology? So now we've decided how we're going to be entangled, and it's all good. And when you bring that into a room, into a meeting, into or send it to somebody who's going into a courtroom or whatever they're going into, it flows. The whole thing softens, and And what I find is usually the highest and best outcome. And now I'll tell you, this can be very smooth and easy, and it can also pack a wallop. You can pack a wallop. I mean, you can really change reality in a millisecond. That I've had this experience, and it took me by surprise because I didn't realize how powerful this thing was.
So you teach people how to
do, yeah, how to
do this themselves, and you bring it to them if they come to see you for a session.
Yes.
And then you
well,
tell them.
Typically, when they come for a session, I'm doing intuitive dowsing. I'm a coach.
What is
as
that?
well.
Intuitive dowsing.
Well, I use dowsing rods. They're metal L-shaped rods,
Right.
and you think about dowsing for water or gas,
Right.
but you
That
can
I've
also
seen, but
douse for other things.
Really?
Oh yes, and so I coach people through life crises, whatever, using the dowsing rods. It's sort of my communication tool, and they're incredibly wonderful and accurate. Unfortunately, sometimes
You get the psychic abilities
Yes.
of knowing through this rod that you
yes.
direct onto people. Is that how you do it?
I ask questions. You can ask yes and no questions, but you can also ask other questions, and then the psychic stuff comes in, and the rods confirm whether if I'm on the right track or not, which is great for me because
Do they move when you're?
they do. They cross in for a yes and out for a no.
okay.
She's like Mork and Mindy. Those little
Yeah.
things have their own.
Oh, okay, all right.
And but that is somewhat separate, although I use the wave in those sessions as well, from the wave energy workshops. And I've just taught you how to use the wave in everyday life. You can put it in your body, you can send it to somebody from afar, you can hook up with somebody like that. Anybody can use the wave like that, and I encourage them to do so. But
You have to get their imaginations going, though,
yes,
right?
and the imagination is our connectivity device.
Right.
I mean, it is.
But you have a picture on your website
do.
of the wave. So
Oh,
it
good.
is
And on my healing rooms
And on
too.
my healing rooms, there's an interview that goes even more in depth, and Hope does a demonstration because it's that wave meditation is the only meditation I can really do. It's powerful.
Well, that's the thing is that you can use the wave in your daily life, and then you can use the wave to really go deep and make an evolutionary leap, and that's what the workshops are about. So those are intense.
I think people need to do that. I think they need to go on the healing room site,
Take a
see the
look.
wave,
And you
And,
sell
and
CD,
practice,
you have
do the
CDs.
practice and see what you think.
right. And yeah, that's something you would have to do to understand it and feel it and picture it. And I know some people who do spiritual therapy, and some people just have no imaginations.
You know what?
It's funny,
And
but
they have said that to me.
Uh-huh.
I don't imagine anything. And it will always drop in. Sometimes not when it's expected, but all of a sudden they'll start to see it. It'll start to happen.
that's great.
And we're water. We're 75% water, and water is so powerful. I mean, just being near the water is so healing
I
and so
love the water,
powerful. So hence la wave.
Yeah, exactly.
So on this, what you had started about the healing, loving it all. You want to explain a little bit more about that then, with Hope and Hans about.
Loving it all, and I spoke to Roland about this too. There's different degrees. You could have, how do you love a altercation with someone? How do you see them as really being there to help you on your path? And then amp it all the way up. How do you love someone who's killed someone? There's a big, okay, so this is a big spectrum. And really the spiritual laws, and that Hans talks about, is really loving it all. And that's a big leap of faith in that we are souls in a body suit, and all of this is really here as part of our learning experience, right? So loving it all runs a huge gamut, and far be it from me to be able to, I can love the back surgery now but I know I'm getting better. So my question always is, how are you able to stay in that space when there's a terminal illness of a loved one or yourself?
Yeah,
or I
that's true.
even said to Roland, how do you stay in that space when you're, like what just happened in Milford to that little girl who was killed? And he spoke to her mother, and he said the most amazing thing to me, that her mom said, am now dedicating my life to working to ensure that these things don't happen. Like, she went into a love space instead of a victim space. So I'd love for you guys to share your feelings on that, right? In that,
for people who may not know this, what happened in Milford?
there was a girl, and she was the prom queen.
Oh, the one was shot?
Well, no, the child, she refused a boy to go to the prom, and he actually sliced her up right there.
Right. Now I remember. Yeah, okay.
It's pretty brutal. And so, and her mom also said, Roland said that she knows this is a big soul who is there guiding the mother and guiding people like Roland to how do you stay in love and light during these times.
So true.
It's very, very challenging. So again, it's easy to talk it as opposed to walking it. What do you think, Hans?
No, of course, it's very easy to talk about when you are not quite in that situation.
Right.
But the one thing I always come back to is in one of my video, I have it, I don't know what it's called, I forgot the title of it, but we're having also the big illusion here that we are separate. We are not. We are just like fingers on one hand. We are all united, including the killer, including the murderer, including whoever it is. They are not separate beings. The moment we see them as separate, we are at a loss. It is to see the unity. Once we understand the unity, whether we like it or not, it is already a much different step. And the other thing which I always feel very helpful to understand, that every human being at any given time always does what he thinks is right or she thinks is right and correct, including the murderer. Even when he sliced somebody up at that moment, from his point of perspective, was the right thing to do.
You don't mean the right thing, you mean...
For him the right thing. In his judgment, in his upbringing, with his programs, in his reality. Thank you. In his reality.
Wow.
In his reality, it was the right thing. And if we go back at ourselves, in our life, when we did something wrong, maybe not as bad as that, but whatever we did, the horrible things we might have done or not done, if we really go back, and I've done that, and try to find out what frame of mind was I when I did it, and I always knew I just couldn't do otherwise. I had the weakness, I wanted power, I wanted whatever, etc. There were always so many energies and so many emotions which made me do some stupid stuff. And if I'm really honest with it, this is where I was. I made this decision because I thought at that time it was the right decision. I wouldn't do it again. But at that time, I couldn't do otherwise than doing what I did. And that is also one way to forgive oneself in a way. That does not make it right.
No.
It only says
that,
whatever is done. And also when we go into politics and see people doing horrendous things, from suicide act or whatever it is, bombers and so on, all these people believe strongly they're doing the right thing. So the whole world, if we really see whatever people does in their perspective, from their upbringing, from their programs, from their belief system, they are all doing the right things. So that's very, very difficult. And so I could really waste my whole day and judge everybody how stupid they are, I did that, etc., etc. Once I understand that they all thought they did the right thing, then all I have to think about is, how do I respond to that? And there are two ways for me to respond. A lot of stuff doesn't bother me much when I read in the paper and so on. Not that I'm indifferent, but it just doesn't cause any emotions in me. But once I see something which really says, why did they do this? How could they do this? It's a clear signal that this is the same thing I have in myself. Because the outside world always reflects myself. The whole world is a mirror. And so whatever upsets me in an action or another person or situation is something which I have not loved in myself. So it behooves me to look into myself. So what is there? What program, what belief system do I have and have not accepted and loved? And that is, I think, the two coins. The most important thing is basically to always deal with our emotions. We cannot deal with the outside world. The moment we want to stop the wars in the outside world and so on, we are off the road. We have to firstly stop the war inside ourselves before anything in the outside world changes. The outside world changes instantly once we stop the war inside ourselves. The outside world is nothing as a projection of ourselves from the inside, all our beliefs, etc.
You know, you just opened up a door for me, because I never looked at it in that perspective of at that particular time you thought you were doing the best thing. Because I have guilt, and I'll look back on it and just look back on the action and see myself doing what I did and I think, how could you be so terrible? How could you be so stupid? How could you be so, whatever you did, how could you be so cruel or whatever it was? But I never looked at it from that point of
Do
view.
that. Do that
Yeah,
exercise.
I'm gonna
Go
have to
deep
go
into
through
it,
each,
and you will find out you couldn't
because
have others.
it's hard to break free from
because
this.
you were
and I want
weak
to.
or you were whatever it is. And once you understand it, self-forgiving becomes much easier.
Yeah.
And
I
you
never
also see
thought
other
of it that
people
way.
doing, when you see somebody else doing crazy stuff, once you understand that he or she is doing the right thing from their perspective, everybody around me is doing the best they can. And there are no exceptions ever.
But I want to say one thing then. If in a way then what you're also saying is we are serving each other in our spiritual growth by doing things to each other. In other words, if you whatever you did to that person was a mirror of them, they could then take it to grow. Like if you're in a bad relationship and the person's being really not treating you like you have self-worth, well then you say to yourself, well, what is in me that believes I am not worthy of being treated well?
Right.
So in other words, people are acting out that on you.
People are expressing what I am suppressing.
Right, so would that even go as far as someone who's been murdered or something like that, or is
There
that
can be
more
other reasons.
karmic reasons?
Yeah, there
too,
can be
right?
karmic reasons. I cannot speculate on anybody else's. I hardly can do it in my own life situation. But whatever happens, there are no coincidences, as you said earlier. There is a purpose, and once we understand that this life is only a very short, 850,000 hours kind of college time, very short. I mean, think about the universe, think the stars, light years, and whatever.
Right.
We are here so short. It's just going to Yale for a very short time. And it's not, our purpose is not to stay in Yale forever after. We have to graduate. And every death is graduation, whether we like it or not. Some deaths are very brutal, very horrific, but they are fast. Other people die very, very slowly over months and over years, and we take that as accepted, and okay, that's fine. But the brutal one says, oh my God, but in truth, it's a very fast graduation. This does not make it right, what has happened if somebody uses their own free will on another person.
Right.
But it is a different way of looking at it. Everybody dies exactly on time. Nobody dies too early, nobody dies too late. Our time of death has been predestined before we arrived on this planet, in my belief system. And there are very few changes. The changes are possible, but there are very few of that. Most of us die right on time, and that's okay.
And so we're punctual for our deaths, but not for doctor appointments or anything like that.
You can say that again, for sure.
I'm going to be right on time. Oh boy, you like that.
Yeah.
All right, you brought up another question in me now here too. When you said that when something really makes you angry, in order, that you see happening to someone or whatever, there's something going on in you.
Of course.
All right, now the thing that makes me angry more than anything in the world is seeing animals, hurting an animal, mistreating it, doing whatever. I get on Facebook and I'm putting all these things out there about, to getting myself depressed and sad, as I've been doing it. So I'm thinking, now what in me?
Is it helpless? They're so helpless?
Well, yeah, there's the one thing that you brought that up. There's the one thing there that is that animals are trusting. They trust.
And you have trusted and be
They sit
heard.
there and they look at you. You can hold a gun at them, and they'll just look up at you like, I love you, and you're going to kill them. And I think that just...
were you trusting? Did you have that experience?
Well, yeah, not that deep, but I did have that experience again with parents and stuff. But, it really bothers me about the animals. And I'm sure everyone out there, the audience, they all have something that really stirs them up,
Sure.
So with me, it's that. So I have to look in me and... I've tried. I can't come up with it. I just get so angry.
Oh, come over. We'll talk.
Come in. We'll have tea.
We'll talk. Believe me, I've been through it.
Plus, the other side effect is that you are now using that kind of energy and do something very special about it. You interview people here who have got homes for animals and things like this. You do, and you send things out to everybody. You know about these videos. Boy, I get them every week.
You see them?
I see them. I do.
Do you ever
It's
see my
great.
page?
Yeah,
Facebook?
I guess
Yes,
so.
I do.
Yeah, I put
So
little lambs and lamb chops.
That is a wonderful action. That is a wonderful action. But if you are getting truly deep, now there is one thing about being compassionate with something or having empathy with something like animal. But if it makes you depressed, then we have to look a little bit deeper. Then maybe the wave may help you, or some other healing room.
But how do you? So if it depresses you, then it's more than being an activist. It's something in you that is still calling to be.
Yeah, because you're also dealing with a lot of revenge and anger.
Yeah, because I'm thinking these are innocent beings. As we know, they're the only innocent beings on this planet.
And children.
yet they suffer so much.
Right.
The suffering is what you know,
Terrible.
yeah.
Well,
That's,
there's
It's fascinating, but the whole world is a mirror. So we just have to look at the mirror. It doesn't make it right what we see,
no.
but it does make it, everything is a help. Everything is medicine for us, no exception. Wherever we look, it's medicine. Every emotional reaction we have, every time we have an emotional reaction, we know we have lied. Every emotion is a lie.
Okay.
Because whether we are infatuated with something or whether we are rejecting something, in both cases we do not see reality, which is love, which is permanent. But either we are infatuated and sooner or later, after 3 months, the guy or the woman suddenly disappoints you and you're back to with the face right down in the dump.
Yeah.
Or you're just saying so horrible, judgmental and so on, and you do not see the positive side of something. Because everything is exactly balanced in positive and negative. The yin-yang sign in China, from China, we know. Everything is perfectly balanced. Every coin has two sides. So every negative thing has two sides. Every war has two sides, its positive side, the negative side. Illness has positive side, negative side. Murder has positive, negative sides. Everything. You have to look for it and see it and understand. Once you understand the absolute fantastic underlying perfection and balance, the symmetry in life, you just get in awe. I am in awe when I see this, because I cannot see anything where it is not.
And it's just a blip. We are eternal. So I think it's the ego. If we look at it, this is just another little classroom or another phase. Things are not as terrifying because we're trying to hold on to this life and this experience. If we look at this as like a semester at Yale, well, for me it might just be the community college, but then we won't take it as seriously.
I know, and it's hard to do that because, like you said, we're so emotional, such emotional beings. But at that particular time, we have to step back, right? You're going to say something?
I actually think that the emotions are an incredible engine for us to process with, and working with them and allowing them to almost accepting, you know, even the most unattractive ones, accepting and being in love and compassion with yourself at the same time. There are these, something called, I call it the yes and, where you can basically hold multiple states at the same moment. Allowing these emotions to work through you and follow them like you would follow a little string, you know, into the woods.
Oh yeah, that's a good analogy.
Where is this going to lead me? And there's a passion to work it out, to figure it out, if you really want to evolve, if you really want to grow, you will use these experiences and follow them down, and you won't give up. You keep going until you get to it. And whether you do that by yourself or with another person guiding you, having that passion to get to the nugget is, once you get to the nugget and the emotions kind of help you get there, then you can go, oh, I get it now. Oh, okay. Now what do I want to do about this? Now how am I going to move forward? Is this still true for me? Do I want this to be true for me? What about it will I keep and what won't I? And how, you know, it's been fueling my life. Look at all the ways it has played out. Oh my gosh. Because these things, these occurrences will keep happening over and over, as we know, and they'll get bigger and bigger frying pans on the head until we finally go down and find the nugget. And then love ourselves, you know, and as Hans is saying, you know, there's a perfection in this. And to love ourselves in spite of having this nugget, and then taking positive action. You know, so you have some kind of nugget in there about the animals, and they may be a stand-in for something else, and maybe you'll figure that out. But what is great, as Hans said, is that you're taking an action that is positive, that is balancing out something.
Try and fight for them, yeah. That you mean.
It would be interesting in your own evolution to go, what really is that about? I want to go figure that out. Because we are on limited time. And we're here to go, why am I so engaged with these? There's a message in here for me, and I want to grow through this. So use that emotion that you have to chug, chug, chug away and get at it. You know, and I think once that's happened, so much ease and freedom Then you're not trapped in this feeling. You know, you're
And then we
really-
have stories too that, like we have a story, and we keep running with the same story, and that's another thing. It's like, wait a minute, like, is this real? Like, what is this story? And it keeps playing out. Well, I mean, with me,
Yeah, tell us, give us an example.
well,
The people
I
who know.
mean, like, you know, 2 marriages, almost a third, same type of relationship in a different disguise.
I know that one.
That one. I've had physical challenges because I think that there's something that I'm not getting, and so the frying pan keeps coming. They're nice. I'm still here. I'm getting the privilege of being able to work it out. So I got it, guys. No more frying pans this time. I'm really going in, and so it's listening. And even as Roland says, like, if you really quiet down, and which is what you did, right, when you went away, you can listen. Sometimes it's scary, for me it is, to really come to the point of stillness because of my background. That's been a little scary, closing things down.
Really?
But that's how you start to, I hope, you know, hear maybe things outside of your story that has been going on.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the same. You talk about the man or the mate. You marry the same one over and over again until you wake up and you grow.
Yeah.
And for me, I had to do that, and what I needed was time by myself. I really needed that alone time, and the meditation and the reading and everything else. And then little by little by little, I'm going, wait a minute, I don't want that kind of person anymore. I really don't. I want this now. That change amazed me. It amazed me that I could finally see that. Okay, kind of the choices are few and far between now, but you know, I got it. So maybe next life, I finally got
Or maybe
it.
this life. Why limit
maybe,
yourself?
You never know,
But I mean, they were all to me a reflection of that I didn't really feel deserving of a healthier kind of love, but it came in different ways.
well, I married my father over and over again, unavailable.
Yep.
How can you win
Right.
when you pick
But so that
unavailable
energy
people?
then,
Yeah.
so once you forgive them, which
Yeah,
I forgave
okay, I
them,
did, yeah,
whatever,
me
thank
too,
you for showing it, then hopefully something else will come in. It could be an animal.
Yeah.
I'm going for the four-legged furry
Sure,
ones now
yeah.
at this point, but still.
No, but that's just an example of what you were
And I
both
also
saying.
think very important to realize that not everybody needs to be mated. Maybe there is something.
Right.
I mean, I was alone for I think 15 years
Really?
before I got married, and all right, I was not totally alone.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to challenge
We
this.
won't tell
No,
anybody.
I lived alone. Let's put it that way. I lived alone, and there is a tremendous richness in that when you accept that and love it. And,
When you accept it, yeah.
Yeah, and it was really amazing because in that period, I would say my spiritual aspirations had grown
Right.
because I just got a much deeper connection to the upstairs. Which is in me, actually. I shouldn't say
Right.
upstairs, but a much closer connection. It was balanced out in wonderful ways, and ever since I'm married and so on, this closeness feeling has gone a little bit by the side. There's no question about it because other dimensions are now important in my life, and so I really believe, because I want to make another a video as well as also a workshop on loneliness.
On loneliness, that'd
which
be good.
I think
Yeah.
is very
That's a good
powerful.
one. Or the
Yeah.
perception of loneliness.
Perception, yeah, and how to deal with that
Well,
and
that's
so
the
on.
next topic
The only
at the
problem is
center.
if you put this onto the as an Untitled and so on, people won't come. We have to find the right title.
The gifts of loneliness.
Maybe. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm just talking about it because we have got the society pressure of getting mated. The happiness is having another mate. And
Right.
as Barbara said, it can be a dog, it can be anything, it can be a passion, it can be a calling, it can be anything else which fills your life and gives you far more satisfaction often than the, quote, partner, whether it's right and wrong.
You're
and
right.
we just have to drop this idea because the majority of households are not married anymore in America. The
We're
majority-
happy. We're happy even in relationship.
50% get divorced. I mean, the others who stay together are not necessarily together out of love, financial reasons, kids, or whatever it is.
Fear.
So it is a minority, and the majority are now single households. So this whole thing has shifted. This pressure, you ask somebody only if somebody loves you. Skip it.
Skip it.
No, it's true, and I've reached that point where I'm content with my life. You know, Not to say it wouldn't be nicer you to have
have
someone,
somebody you share
to
with.
share someone,
Yeah.
you know, a glass of wine, you do your thing. But me and my little kitty, and he makes me laugh no matter how depressed I am. No human has done that. He makes me laugh, and I just love him.
But so simple. You remember, I lived in Würzburg for 7 years. I had my house there. We lived there with 7 grown-up people together. We shared. It was a communal living. And with ups and downs, but this was a very rich way of living. We were having basic friends with you in the house. We all had one spiritual
But
goal.
that was communal.
It was communal.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, but it is possible. That's why I'm saying, even if one doesn't want to live alone, find the right community. It may be possible. You don't have to live alone in your room if that is so unbearable, because there are like-minded people everywhere, and you can grow this way. So there's a lot of possibility.
Is community. I think that people who are living in their cubicles or alone, which is why I started the center, there's a lack of, it's becoming more and building more of that community. So then people immediately, the go-to is a relationship. But you're right, it could be so much richer living with the community, or as rich.
As long as you've
You're
got a
so
higher
right.
goal which all connects you.
That's it.
Yeah, let's start like a commune.
I know. I really enjoyed when we went to New York, Catskills. Remember, for that retreat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the fact that you had your own room and your bathroom and everything else. Okay, but you had a main hall for eating, for getting
Right,
together.
right.
You had your little space, and
Very
yet you had
important,
that.
very
That was
important.
very nice. I
Yeah.
loved it there. You know, that was
Yeah.
really great. We have about 1 minute left.
Oh, wow.
Is there any? Can you imagine that? 1 minute. Go on. Boom. Anything you want to say in 1 minute?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
And if
you.
anybody wants to watch some of my videos, they're on liveexplained.com.
Yes, we're gonna put
they're
that up
very
there.
short
Uh-huh,
and
we've got that
This
here.
website, and you're not alone.
I'm going to put this all up there. Yep.
We're all experiencing the same things, and go to myhealingrooms.com, and you can see these amazing healers and people that want to share with you.
Okay. Alrighty, we have a lot of information to give, so we'll give this information on our guests, and I'll put my glasses on. For Barbara Slane, her phone number is 203-912-2792.
Oh, no, it's 2791.
Oh, we made a mistake.
okay.
2791. And it's the life, and it's spelled LIPHE, balance at gmail.com is her email address, and her website is www.myhealingrooms, make sure of that s.com. And for Hans Wilhelm, it's Hans at hanswilhelm.com, and also www.lifeexplained.com, where you'll see these wonderful videos that explain the purpose of our lives. And for Hope Fitzgerald, we have infinity.com, and that's her website where you can find out about this beautiful wave. This is going to be really, really nice. I can't wait to see that. Okay. And we'll give our contact information to learn more about this show or any of our past shows. Contact us at healoutsidethebox@yahoo.com, or to reach me, Rosemary LaChance. My phone number is 203-627-7966. My website is www.rosemarylachance.com. And my co-host, who couldn't be present tonight, Lisa Burton, her phone number is 203-804-0024. And her website is www.theonejoy.com. And also we're on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box. And I'll read you tonight's quote, which is, "Gratitude locks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past. It brings peace for today and creates a vision for tomorrow." And that's by Melody Beattie.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
Beautiful.
being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Hans.
Rosemary.
Thank you, Hope. Thank you, Rosemary. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands.